Alrighty, what's going on? Running Shoe Kings back with a little reflection on yesterday's Twilight quad race at Grove City. So this is the first of 4 races in the Twilight quad series. Just gonna go through some of the key points of the race and some notes that I had kind of in the race and after the race, just some reflections. So let's get into things. First clip here, we are bib number 73, so that's the bib that I will have for all 4 races in the series. And moving to the start line here, I probably started a little too far back with the amount of rows that were lined up with where I ended up finishing, but I was still able to not lose too much time to the start, as you guys will see. Alrighty, and we are off, and you can kind of see that the trail's a bit narrow to start off. Basically can fit 2 to 3 people wide, so I had to work a little bit to kind of get in position because I was looking at that top group. I wanted to be close enough to them that if I was feeling good I could maybe catch a few, but if I wasn't, I still didn't want to go out too fast since this was the first race of the summer. So the first half mile or so of the race is through a little bit of a wooded section, and been raining on and off most of the day. Luckily we didn't have to deal with any rain, but it was very humid, and these shaded asphalt trails get pretty slick with that kind of humidity. So I didn't notice it too much as far as a traction issue, but just something of note. Seems like we've kind of settled in at this point to a good 7th place spot, so I knew that with who was going to be there, just kind of keeping an eye on the competition, that top 5 might be a potential opportunity, but I by no means was going to be guaranteed. And as you can kind of see here, falling back to 8th place, this is Prince. So if you guys remember him from the stacked trail race, we're going at it once again here with a 5K. So kind of slid in right behind him, let him pull me through just about to the mile. As you can kind of see, we're starting to break out of the woods into the open area. We come up in a little while on a good crowd as well. Really bring the energy for you. So as we kind of exit that first loop there, so the first loop was a counterclockwise loop out towards the parking area. I did grab a cup at the first water station, more just to kind of dump on my back because it was really hot and humid. Wanted to try and stay as cool as I could, just making sure that I didn't build up too much heat, because I've been doing some heat training, but nothing to the extent of the humidity that we were dealing with here today. But as we're just about to come up around the corner here, we'll hit the first mile. I moved back around Prince. I think he kind of realized that we were going out pretty quick, just kind of getting dragged out by that group of 6 ahead of us. All right, and coming up here on the first mile, came through on my watch, it was about a 5:17. I'll flash up here on the screen now what the splits were, which, speaking of splits, big shout out to Runner's High for the timing. They have timing mats at every half mile for these summer quad series races, so really gives you some good data points as far as where you might need to work a little bit for the next race, where you can improve, or where you might have gone out too quick or pushed too hard at some point in the race. But as you can kind of see here now, I started eyeing up the pack in front of me, so I realized that, I might be able to pick up a couple of these guys. Still at this point, I wasn't thinking that I was going to be able to get a top 5, but always keep that in the back of your mind, because you'll see the reward here at the end for a nice top 5 finish. Around the bend there, I started closing in on what would be 6th place, and really I didn't feel like I made that strong of a move around him. It was just kind of, I took a better tangent, got alongside of him, and at that point then I tried to push a little bit, make sure that I didn't leave too much opportunity for him to then come back and kind of hang on to my back, whether that just kind of break the wind or you just get some pacing help from me. So I wanted to make sure that move was a strong one. I started to slowly, methodically work my way up to 5th place. As coming through here, you can see at 1.5 miles. And at that point, I'm starting to think in my head, like, hey, this would be like that 3rd lap in a mile where you just got to stay on pace, keep on pushing so that you're able to put yourself in a good position to close. And I'm just keeping my eyes up on the guy ahead of me, thinking, maybe if I'm able to catch up to him, there's going to be that top 5 reward at the end of this. So we're going to fast forward a little bit here because, spoiler alert, I do end up catching up. All right, and then there's a little section here on the back loop that I wouldn't call them hills, but they're a little bit rolling. So I really tried to keep my momentum going down, because oftentimes that gives you all the momentum you need to get back up the other side. And these hills ended up being what made the difference for me to catch up to 5th place here, because there's 3 or 4 of those as you kind of break out of the woods, and I was able to close in on this guy here that was in 5th place. And going around the corner of the fence, I again made a good move and didn't again want to leave it up to chance as to whether he was going to have a kick or not. So threw in a little bit of a surge here, and just as we came up on the 2.5 mile point, 2 mile point. All right, and as we kind of loop back onto the section of the course that we already went out, we have the deepest of the puddles from this day's rainstorms that came through. At this point, I was kind of listening to pay attention to see whether any of the 2 guys that I had passed in the previous mile were still close by. I didn't hear anything, so I'm still looking up. I know 4th place was quite a ways up, but I've seen some pretty big blowouts here at the back half of these races, especially whenever the heat and humidity gets bad, which with the sun coming out for this race, it got pretty humid out there. All right, and kind of you can see 4th place still is up not far ahead of me, but with only about half mile to go at this point, I didn't think that I was going to be able to catch him. So I wasn't really sure what pace I was running for a final time, but for most of the race I was sitting right there around 5:20. So I was hoping that I might be able to sneak out something in the 16:30s for a finishing time. So I really trying to push here in this last wooded section, hoping that I can get every second I can out of it. But I ended up very happy with the finish of the race. Final time was a 16:41. And honestly, with this being the 3rd year that I've run the race, first year I finished 11th, second year I finished 8th, and this year finishing 5th, I was very pleased with it. And I know that it's a great starting point for the summer racing series that this summer's going to bring. But I'll flash up a picture here of my little prize at the end. So with this being the Strawberry Days 5K, they give out a strawberry pie to the top 5 male and female finishers. So got myself a nice dessert to go along with the dinner that I didn't get to eat until about 11:30. All right, and then just a couple key points that I found during the race. First off, heat and humidity. I feel like I'm excelling right now at getting that kind of training in, so I felt really prepared for this race. I was kind of convincing myself earlier in the day that heat and humidity, it's a challenge, but if you're prepared for it, you plan for it, whether that's in training or making sure that you're hydrated properly before the race, it is an advantage to you if you're able to kind of handle that in the proper manner. Then the second point that I found with this race, and it's something that I find with this race every year, with a lot of the twists and turns of the course, yes, there's some puddles as well this year that we haven't had in previous years, but running the tangents is so important. and being able to get those extra steps on people. And as you saw with me kind of making my moves using those tangents, it gives you that momentum to pass and make the move and make it with authority. So those were just 2 points that I found interesting or valuable during the race. But we have 2 weeks now, so it'll be a little bit of a period of training, get some more volume in, probably sharpen up a little bit as well. So we'll see you guys on the next one.